Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm gonna show you 10 JRPGs that I've seen a lot of people trash over the past several years, and I don't think they're that bad. Sure, some of the ones you're about to see today are kind of bad, I admit that, but others are actually quite good. They're hidden gems in my opinion. But what they all have in common is that no matter how obscure or popular they are, they're honestly not that bad. And please note that this is a re-upload. This is a video that I did in October 2019 and I thought it was pretty interesting, so I decided to re-upload it. Just keep that in mind in case you notice the differences in audio and a different outro at the end. I still hope you enjoy this video, so have fun and let's begin! Number 10. Langrisser Reincarnation Tensei. Langrisser was a comeback for a very niche series to North America. It is impressive since only the very first game in the franchise was localized, called War Song for the Sega Genesis. So this second game we finally got sadly met a lukewarm reception, mixed to negative reviews. Well, I played the game for a few hours so I can't defend it much, but I can definitely say it's honestly not bad at all. Sure, it pales in comparison with Warsong, but it was still a pretty decent game. Major complaints were about the attack animations, which I admit are complete trash, but you know you can skip them, right? So what's so bad about this game? I don't get it. Is it great? No it isn't, but bad? Nope, I disagree. Langrisser on the 3DS might not be an outstanding game, probably the worst in the series maybe? But it's far from being a bad strategy RPG. Number 9. Mind Zero. Another game trashed by critics was Mind Zero on the PS Vita and PC. It was developed by Acquire, the people behind the Tenchu series, Way of the Samurai, and most recently, Octopath Traveler. It was mainly influenced by Class of Heroes, another one of their games, and of course the Persona series. And that's where things got so messed up. Story and character development, and the atmosphere itself of the game, was heavily reminiscent of the late Persona games. Some gameplay mechanics were actually similar, considering it's also a dungeon crawler and a turn-based RPG, but played in first person. I'm not sure I can properly compare the game to the Persona franchise. I noticed the resemblance, but it didn't bother me one bit. Sure, this game was lacking in some areas, but was strong enough in others, so I disagree with the harsh criticism it has received just because it was somewhat similar to Persona. Mind Zero is a decent game, a hidden gem in my opinion, and an RPG that's honestly not that bad. Number 8. Akibas Beat. Speaking about Acquire, they also developed the Akibas Street games. Akibas Beat is supposed to be the third entry that has more RPG elements than ever. Well, it's yet another game poorly received by critics worldwide. That's right, not only in the West. It's an action RPG with a battle system that's very similar to the Tales of series, but with its own unique characteristics. The rest of the game you'll be reading tons of dialogue and running around the entire Akihabara district. That was pretty cool. I actually found the concept of the story to be pretty kick-ass, even though it focuses a lot on the Japanese pop culture. I don't understand the hatred towards this game. Perhaps it is because original Akiba Street players found it vastly different in terms of gameplay. Well, maybe it's a bad game as an Akiba game, but as a JRPG, it's a fun title. I only recommend it, however, to people that really like anime, idols, J-pop and shit because it strongly revolves around those stereotypes. I ditched it after 6 hours or so, but I concluded that it was honestly not that bad. Number 7. Dawn of Mana. This game is, along with Heroes of Mana on the Nintendo DS, the black sheep of the Mana series. However, this was supposed to be a main title and not a spin-off, so you can only imagine how it disappointed the heck out of everyone. Me, I didn't find it that fun, to be honest. I thought it was an okay game with some problems here and there, especially on how often I got lost. Other than that, Dawn of Mana was honestly not that bad. It still holds the real Mana feeling with such a fantastic world and beautifully drawn landscapes. Also, it has a lot of detailed design in characters and monsters. Too bad some gameplay issues kinda ruined the experience for most gamers, including me, but I wouldn't call this game bad by any means, just mediocre with some positive aspects around. Dawn of Mana is a pretty forgettable game that no one cares about, but if you plan on giving it a chance, I suggest you expect the worst. That way you'll see for yourself that it's honestly not that bad. Number 6. Mugen Souls. Funny how I bought the sequel, Mugen Souls Z, also on the PS3, and inside I found the disc from the first game. Normally most people will return that to the place they bought it from, but I didn't. I mean, I expected the absolute worst from it considering that reviews had been terrible. Well, it's yet another one of those compile hard RPGs. Oh yeah! And it's bad. I won't argue with that statement. You play with these chibi characters with a heroine that's trying to conquer the entire universe while traveling on her own spaceship. It looks like a PS2 game when you run around these landscapes, or even worse. Story is really stupid and full of awkward dialogues and scenes. Battle system is played in turns, similar to the Neptunia games, but what's fun about it are the constant joint attacks done by your party members. They're just very silly, but creative at the same time. I mean, just look at this mess. There's also some kind of boring ship battles, also played in turns, but they were okay. In the end, yes, it's a bad game, but not that bad. I'd say it's one of those cases where the game is so bad, it's actually good. Number 5. Mimana Er Chronicle. Been a while since I last stood up for this hidden gem on the PSP. Well, not exactly hidden considering its own infamy. Allegedly one of the worst RPGs on the system and a guilty pleasure of mine. That's right, I love this game and I thought it was pretty damn decent. Nevertheless, I can clearly see what turned gamers off. The gameplay itself. Running around from point A to point B in most dungeons with no music. A battle system that is really a poor clone of the Tales of series. I mean, it has clunky controls, horrible hit detection, and terrible AI, especially with your party members. The game, however, is very easy, so complaints about this are kinda wacky. Story is mostly a comedy, but a very well done one. I laughed my ass off almost the entire game, and even grew very fond of some of the characters. Seriously, this game lives up to its reputation in quite an unfair manner, since it's honestly not that bad. Actually, it's totally worth it because of the story and the characters. Number 4. Phantasy Star 3. Another black sheep here, this time a little experiment Sega tried many years ago on the Genesis. You see, Phantasy Star 1 and 2 have been very successful and highly regarded, even though I think they have some serious gameplay issues. The third one had them too, but not enough for me to call it bad. It's kind of uninspiring, I guess, compared to the others. I think the music, the navigation, the battles, and the story itself were lacking in comparison to them, but it was still enjoyable. The concept of playing through multiple generations was very appealing, even though the gameplay mechanics were very tedious. I never got that far in this game. However, I clearly understood the criticism towards it from the first hours. But is it bad? No sir. Phantasy Star 3 might not be among the best RPGs on the Sega Genesis, but it's there and it's definitely worth the try. especially if you're into retro games with a science fiction setting combined with medieval elements. Number 3. Shining ResonanceRefrain. Here we are again at one of the most disappointing RPGs ever created, but one that I also admit it wasn't bad. The main problem with this game was being called Shining. Why? Because this legendary franchise had been releasing games in Japan that we never got for the past decade. Not only that, but they've all been completely different from the original Shining Force games. It was the comeback of the Shining series to the West in the form of a remake from a PS3 game that we also never got. So, did it live up to its hype? Nope. It turned out to be a fan service game with waifus and a battle system that tried to be a mediocre mixture between Tales of and God Eater. So yeah, it was disappointing. Now, is it bad? Hell no. It's just not as good as those other series, that's all. In fact, I thought it was pretty damn decent. If I forgot about the overly cliched story and stereotyped characters, that is. Shining ResonanceRefrain is obviously not a fantastic RPG, but it's one of the best examples on how a game is honestly not that bad. Number 2. Star Ocean, Integrity and Fatelessness. Here's yet another perfect example for a game that wasn't that bad. I beat this game because I'm a big Star Ocean fan, and that's saying a lot. I mean, it's the worst in the series, I guarantee that, with a story that feels so lacking, misoriented to the two main characters that are overly boring. It should have focused on the real space travelers instead, because that's where all the interesting plot was. The game looks absolutely gorgeous. Of course, I've always said that whenever I talk about it. Battles are a huge mess, with terrible camera issues and an extremely unbalanced difficulty. Sometimes the game will be very easy, sometimes very hard. Alas, Star Ocean 5 strongly disappointed fans from the series and also newcomers to it. But as a video game, it's honestly not that bad, and I'd say it's actually worth a shot. It's dirt cheap nowadays, so give it a try if you can. Just don't expect too much of it, especially if you're already a fan of the franchise. Number 1. Final Fantasy Type 0. I could have put many other Final Fantasy spin-offs here, but this one seems to be the most infamous of all. I gotta say though, this game also disappointed me, but I wasn't expecting too much in the first place. It's just so damn messy, hard to get into, difficult to understand, that it's really not a good game in my opinion. Obviously that doesn't mean it's bad. I went back to it and found out that I was actually enjoying it this time. It just takes a while to take off, that's all. However, I gotta admit I still wasn't hooked and probably never will. Originally released on the PSP only in Japan, Final Fantasy Type 0 is a remaster that impresses you from the beginning. As soon as you start playing though, you realize it's something quite different. Action RPG with some real-time elements that are confusing and obnoxious. Once you finally get the idea, if you ever do of course, you'll enroll in a military school with students being sent on different missions. All of this during an ongoing war. So it has sort of like an interesting concept, but it tries so hard to be original it fails. It's quite a chore to get into, like I've stated before, but it delivers an entertaining adventure, I guess? Sorry, but I still think this game is kinda bad, but honestly, not that bad. Some honorable mentions, I guess. Oh yeah, I finally admit that this game is honestly not that bad. Anyway, thanks for watching. Whoa, hey, get the hell out of here. Come on, come on, come on. Jesus. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See ya. Oh god damn it, I gave up. Fuck this.